Top 5 National Signing Day Eve storylines. Now, these are mine. You can do your own rankings. TJ said sometimes I get the rankings wrong. Let me just remind you.
He said you get the order wrong.
I get the order wrong. Let me just remind you whose name is on this list. It's my order. Mine. Paul Catalina's top 5. Me. So I care about my rankings.
You can't be wrong with your order.
Yeah. Again, Paul Catalina's top 5. My rankings. My opinion. Yours, you can have it. Go out in the world and enjoy. But there you go. Number 5, what does Deion's class look like? It is going to be chock full of transfers. When those become official, it's going to have some guys he pulls from other places. But I'm curious to see from what was not even probably a top 75 class to where this number is going to be in just a few short weeks of what he's going to be able to pull off in this time. What is that going to look like? Because there's some verbal commits and all that, and you can track it along, but who's he going to flip at the last minute? Who's he coming in on? I see people tweeting all the time, just got an answer from Coach Prime or an offer from Coach Prime. Curious to see how that winds up tomorrow in the first one, or if more of his work is maybe done with some of the guys who hold out to the traditional signing day in February.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're 9th out of 10 in the Pac-12. So that's, or what would that be, actually 11 out of 12 in the Pac. No, okay, 9 out of 12, sorry. 9 out of 12 in the Pac right now behind, or in front of Washington State, Arizona State, and Cal. Not the worst, and certainly with only 14 guys, they're going to add a lot more to that. I would imagine that the second signing day is probably where they'll land some, but I really think a lot of the scholarships are probably going to the transfer portal.
Yeah.
That's where majority of them will go. So I don't expect it will have some big celebration over Deion's like top 5 class anytime soon. They're going to, as big of a star as he is or whatever, unless they have like a multi-trillionaire that's going to just pay for their class, or they just win a bunch of games in a hurry. I mean, that's what will ultimately flip them to having higher-rated classes, but it's going to take a little bit.
Yeah. Number 4, who responds to misses with big portal additions? So you're missing guys, you missed them, so if you're, for example, Oregon, you missed on Dante Moore. You might miss on Austin Novosad. So do you go and add a portal addition knowing that, for example, at that position at quarterback, they're going to have to wait behind Bo Nix for a year? How do the major transfers, also like the Hudson Cards of the world and guys like that, navigate tomorrow if they haven't made a decision yet, if they don't announce tomorrow? Do they look at places who swung big for a certain guy at that position who didn't get it and can step in now? I'm wondering how that gets filled in tomorrow, because this used to be an easier thing to kind of predict, and now it's, kind of all over the map.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa could use a tackle, obviously, after today. So yeah, we'll have to see, who misses and swings and misses on whoever that may be. But yeah, Iowa needs somebody now with the Caden Proctor loss, and I know there will be flips tomorrow. There will be surprises tomorrow. To what extent, I don't know. There's still some fun in that. I'm definitely getting old though. Like I'm not all in on the hey. Well, I mean, it's just I just hate it for the schools. Like to. If there's a little bit of a heads up, that's one thing. But, like, the guy you were counting on that flips on signing day, it's just, for certain schools you can overcome that. I'm just not as into the drama, I guess is what I should say. I mean, I love the surprises and the swerves, but I'm just not super into the drama of it. But there will definitely be some drama tomorrow, and that will answer the question somewhat.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3, can Miami close as strong as they've started? They've started very strong, and they're closing out pretty well. I mean, they're going to get a transfer DB from UCF whose brother is going there. They're legacy Miami players, the Brown brothers. That's going to happen for Miami. They've got a lot of guys there. Their roster is kind of cleaned out through the portal as well. It's going to be a longer train here, and NIL obviously has a lot to do with Miami especially, but I'm curious to see if they can, because they've been in on some guys and maybe flipped them at the end, if they can continue that trend right now, and Mario Cristobal can do that, because that's what he was brought in to do. Year 1 on the field did not go as they planned in any way, shape, or form, but I don't think that's dissuaded anybody from visiting and going and looking at what Miami has going on. And a lot of that right now is not because of facilities or anything else. It's because of, NIL money.
Yeah. So to answer your question, sure. It has nothing to do with on the field.
Yeah.
It's everything about, NIL deals and a vision. And Cristobal's early enough in his tenure to where they can still sell that vision, pretty easily. But, it certainly helps to have that LifeLock or whatever it is money as well floating in. So, yeah, I'm assuming they can because the business part of this process hasn't changed much. Once it comes to, do they have to pony up some wins to show that it's exactly what's going on, then maybe that changes. But for right now, yeah, the checks are still getting cashed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're in the top 10, like between 4 and 8, depending on which one you look at. They've had a pretty good run, couple of nice commitments of late.
And I don't want to make it sound like it's all NIL money. Like,
No.
I mean, it's not fair to all their class and to the coaches and stuff. So I don't want to make it sound like that. But, I mean, can they close it strong? Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to believe that they're top 5 right now, and there's no games that are going to change that between now and tomorrow or now and February, really. So I don't see any reason why it will.
No, and look, they are selling a dream as well, like you said, Craig, about what this could be. What Mario Cristobal has to do outside of NIL is just make Miami the city school again. I mean, he has to do that. But
you can't do any of that without winning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all you can do.
Yeah. And look, that town is it's very famous for, if you're big time, they'll show up. If you're not, they're not like Lincoln where they're.
You mean LA Southeast?
Yeah, exactly. LA and Miami are very similar in that regard.
There's so much to do.
Yeah.
There's so much to do.
Yeah. Number 2, will not having an offensive coordinator hurt A&M when it comes down to it? Because I would be a little bit reticent to commit there, seeing that, you've got some guys that have left, and there's some scuttlebutt on Evan Stewart jumping into the portal, which would be tragic for them. If I'm an offensive player and I don't know what the system's going to be, I don't know. I mean, would I wait on A&M? Because right now, that's the biggest question that Jimbo Fisher has to answer is.
How many years left for Muhammad?
2 at least, I
If
think.
they can keep Stewart and Muhammad, they got a hell of a nice group at wide receiver just with those two. But, yeah, they need to hold on to them. Hold on to Stewart.
I mean, they just yesterday flipped a 4-star quarterback from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's hurting them in any way. Marcel Reed made the decision to flip from the Rebs. So, yeah, I don't think that's preventing anything. That's actually gaining them momentum, that commitment. So, doesn't appear so. Yeah, doesn't appear so, at least with a big-time quarterback target.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So the answer to that one's so far no.
Yeah.
I do, and they've got the big-time running back in Reuben Owens as well. And so,
yeah, I mean, that's 5-star running back, 4-star quarterback in the last week. So yeah, I think they're answering that question pretty strongly right now.
Yeah, and number 1 to me is which SEC school will have the most late flips, because it usually is SEC schools or maybe a future SEC school or two that like we just saw with Iowa and Alabama. Iowa is this kid's from Des Moines, he's gonna go play at Iowa, and then Alabama calls on Tuesday before signing day, and there's your flip. How many? And I would say, to me, it's the big 3 of Alabama, Georgia, and LSU, and maybe a little bit now Tennessee might be sneaking in there. But I would say that those 3 are going to be the ones that are, Brian Kelly's going to sweep in there, and somebody's going to be like, all right, I'm going to Oklahoma State. No, you're not. You're going to LSU, just like that. And so I'm wondering which of those schools kind of does that the most tomorrow.
Well, yeah, we just mentioned A&M, flipping Marcel Reed. We had Alabama with the flip, Proctor just a little while ago. So there's a party already getting started, and there will be many more. Here's a free. I mean, I'm never going to start a recruiting website, so here's a free, piece of. I think I've done this before and seen things come to fruition. So for all of those recruiting websites out there, Flip Counter. You love to rank things. Everything's ranked. Transfer portal's ranked.
Do a flip
counter. There you go. There's a new idea for National Signing Day to see who gets the national title, not only in the transfer portal and not only in the recruiting class rankings, but also in the flip counter. We can add that to the mix.
If you could be high on any of those lists.